Attorney General Bill Barr has been under steady fire for misleading the public about the Mueller report. A congressional committee voted to hold him in contempt, and now he's speaking out in his first TV interview since then. Barr deciding to get in front of cameras to make news, and notice where he's choosing to make it. Fox News. Barr speaking to Fox's Bill Hemmer, and we should note that while on Fox, Barr appeared to echo one of the network's biggest Trump-defending anchors.
Using untrue, something that is unverifiable, Russian misinformation, propaganda, outright lies, paid for by Hillary Clinton.
To have opposition research like that, especially one that on its face had a number of clear mistakes.
As the very basis for a warrant to spy, not only on an American citizen, but an American citizen working for the Trump campaign.
To use that to conduct counterintelligence against an American political campaign is would be a strange development.
That last line from Barr, flatly inaccurate. There's no public reports of surveillance of a, quote, political campaign. There's court-approved surveillance of several individuals, and ironically, it was Team Trump themselves that played down the idea that the people you see here were key to the campaign, minimizing the role of unpaid advisors like Papadopoulos and Page. And on the law, judges found ties worth surveilling here. As you can see, 3 of these surveilled advisors ended up pleading guilty. Now, the wider context for these new remarks from Barr, which are newsworthy, are really his embrace in rhetoric and also in related actions of these DOJ reviews to investigate the Mueller investigators. Take a look.
The first step is find out exactly what happened. I've been trying to get answers to questions, and I found that a lot of the answers have been inadequate. And I've also found that some of the explanations I've gotten don't hang together. So in a sense, I have more questions today than I did when I first started. We should be worried about whether government officials abuse their power and put their thumb on the scale. And so I'm not saying that happened, but I'm saying that we have to look at that.
Barr's echoing Trump there, questioning if the FBI has its thumb on the scale. Of course, it was Trump's own appointee who tapped Mueller and oversaw him and recently vouched for the whole probe. And what Barr knows as a veteran prosecutor is the FBI and DOJ, they don't make the call about surveillance anyway. Prosecutors don't decide whether or not to issue a warrant. Judges do. Independent judges okayed all the surveillance that you hear Barr talking about now. And again, if you want to get into it, if defendants want to challenge that, they have a venue to do so in court. It won't be in a private review overseen by Mr. Barr. Now, this is basic stuff, which means even the FBI director, handpicked by Trump after the Comey firing, was duty-bound to rebut Barr's spying claim.
Do you believe that they're engaging in spying when they're following FBI investigative policies and procedures?
Well, that's not the term I would use.
Do you have any evidence that any illegal surveillance into the campaigns or individuals associated with the campaigns by the FBI occurred?
I don't think I personally have any evidence of that sort.
There is another big claim from Barr here, that he's fine with Trump using that witch hunt term to also describe Mueller's probe.
If you were the president, I think you would view it as a witch hunt and a hoax. He has been hammered for something, for allegedly conspiring with the Russians, and that we now know that was simply false.
Now, a witch hunt would be an improper investigation, hunting for witches. The fact that this was a valid investigation and didn't end in every single thing that was investigated being charged, if anything, shows how fair it was. So you could probe anything. Probe X. The fact that at the end of the probe you don't charge someone for X obviously doesn't mean the probe was pointless, let alone a witch hunt. Barr is the Attorney General. He knows that. So without a conspiracy charge, you still have a lawful investigation, not a witch hunt. And there are also these other questions about obstruction, of course, with 700-plus federal prosecutors saying that what's in the Mueller report looks to them like a crime committed by the president. There's just a rule you don't charge him. Then take a look at Barr trying to justify something that just about everyone knows is bad because the Trump people tried to stop it from happening. But here's Trump's new Attorney General saying maybe there were good reasons for the attempts to fire Bob Mueller.
Elsewhere, the report does say that McGahn was told by Trump to talk to Rosenstein to complain about conflicts of interest that Mueller had and have Mueller removed for conflicts of interest. And there's a difference.
There you have Barr trying to say this was all about conflicts of interest, as if there was no attempt to fire Mueller. Now, this is important because he's not Trump's defense lawyer. He's the Attorney General. The Mueller report shows McGahn called his own lawyer because he thought it was so improper that Trump was asking him to fire Mueller. Let me read that to you if you want to remember it for yourself. McGahn decided he had to resign. He called his personal lawyer. He called his chief of staff, and informing her of his decision. He wasn't going to resign because he was asked to do a conflict check. He was resigning, as he said, because he thought Trump was asking him to help commit what would be a crime. And by the way, remember, you can't indict the president, but you can indict other people if any of them helped obstruct justice. Barr also got some basic facts wrong here about what prosecutors do. Take a look.
Were you surprised that he came back with no recommendation on that obstruction charge? That surprised you?
Yes, that surprised
How come?
me. The function of a prosecutor is to make a call one way or the other. We met on March 5th before he delivered the report, and he gave an explanation for it, and it's pretty much reflected in the report.
Now, the answer there is actually a little tricky. That was not Mueller's role, although prosecutors do traditionally issue a fuller conclusion when they're dealing with other citizens. But as everyone's heard by now, Mueller didn't make that kind of decision about indictment, nor did Ken Starr, by the way, or Jaworski, who investigated Nixon. None of them ever said, oh, we're deciding on indictment. They, as we all know, issued material, information, indictments of other non-presidents, and then left it up to Congress, not the DOJ, not Mr. Barr, to decide what, if anything, to do about it. So it's telling to have Mr. Barr doubling down on these claims, some of which are flatly false, others which just feel like cherry-picking certain things to help back up Donald Trump's view no matter what. That is not how this system is supposed to work. And the bottom line tonight is you have an attorney general who's been accused by many, including even earlier on the show, of acting like Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer, not like the attorney general. And now he sounds like Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer when he chooses to go where? To Fox News, to question the FBI, to say that his own colleagues were engaged in a witch hunt, to question his so-called friend Bob Mueller's judgment, and now to continue to give voice, to give attention, to give hype to this so-called process of investigating the investigators. The president used the word treason today when referring to Mr. Barr's alleged spying talk. This whole probe, although was uncovering pressure from Trump on the DOJ that isn't supposed to happen in the first place. And now the new AG comes in and doubles down on all of this, saying that to even look into those things, which of course did result in indictments and a lot of public information and indicting the Russians, that all of that was, I guess, maybe some sort of witch hunt. So you have to think about what Barr's DOJ is doing, what it's really up to. As he says, there are still going to be 3 more separate reviews of the Mueller probe, because his own actions have, I think, a lot of legal experts, even some who used to praise him, now asking, can the public, can the country, can the government, can the press trust what comes out of Mr. Barr's Justice Department when this is how he's acting? Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.